humans. Oh, sorry,
Sorry.
Mataji. It's okay, Mataji. Many human beings who awaken, there may be one who actually enters the spirit of understanding his position, and for him, this Bhagavad Gita is spoken. Actually, we are all swallowed by the tigris of Nescience, but the
Nescience.
Lord is very merciful. Sorry, Mataji.
Nescience. Nescience means
Oh,
ignorance.
oh,
Yeah.
okay. Nescience. But the Lord is very merciful upon the living entities, especially human beings. To this end, he spoke the Bhagavad Gita, making his friend Arjuna his student. Being an associate of Lord Krishna, Arjuna was above all ignorance, but Arjuna was put into ignorance on the battlefield of Kurukshetra just to question Lord Krishna about the problems of life, so that the Lord could explain them for the benefit of future generations of human beings and chalk out the plan of life. Then man could act accordingly and perfect the mission of human life. Thank you, Mataji.
All right. Thank you, Mataji. Thank you. So as you can see, it is mentioned that until we don't ask questions related to birth and death, we are not proper student of Bhagavad Gita. So that's point number one. Point number two is that we always can question how come the best friend of Krishna doesn't know all this knowledge, doesn't have this knowledge. So actually, Arjuna is above all ignorance. But to pass message to us, Arjuna was used as an instrument by Krishna, and so that Arjuna can ask this kind of questions. He can have all these anxiety symptoms, so he can ask questions, and then Krishna can advise him. So actually Krishna uses him to pass the message to us. Okay. And again, if you see Krishna, Arjuna will be asking question for clarification. So this is also to clarify doubts that we may have. Okay. Of course, Arjuna doesn't have to ask so many questions to understand, but he's helping us. Okay, so thank you to Arjuna in that sense. So we are entering Dhyana Yoga. So we have done Sankhya Yoga in the second chapter. Sankhya Yoga means analytical study of the difference between spirit and matter. So body and soul, that is Sankhya Yoga. And then Krishna went to Buddhi Yoga, that is intelligence. Okay, and then we went into Karma Yoga. Karma Yoga, doing work by surrendering the result. And then after that, we went to Jnana Yoga in chapter 4. But Jnana Yoga later we will expand in the final 6 chapters. Yeah, okay. So we are at the almost at the center. So this is Dhyana Yoga. Dhyana Yoga is part of Astanga Yoga. Astanga Yoga means 8. Ashta means 8. Anga means fold. 8-fold yoga. So this yoga ladder. Yoga is like a ladder. Okay, to ultimately reach the Supreme Lord, you have to go step by step. According to Astanga Yoga, you have to go step by step. Okay, so one of the step is Dhyana Yoga. Okay, so the Astanga Yoga means, or Dhyana Yoga means, a mechanical meditative practice. So basically it's meditation. It's all about meditation, about controlling the mind and senses and focusing your concentration on the Paramatma, the super soul who is situated inside the heart. So the yogi, the Dhyana yogi is going inwardly to realize the Supreme Lord who is situated in the heart as super soul. Okay, so there are 3 aspects of the Supreme Lord. One is Brahman, the Jyoti, right? Brahma Jyoti. And then one as Krishna residing in our heart as Paramatma, and the Supreme Lord as he in his personal form, that is called Bhagavan. Okay, so I hope you remember these 3 aspects of Supreme Lord, 3 aspects of God. Okay, so we are not going to stop at just Brahma Jyoti and that's about it. All right, it's not that. You have to go further. This practice culminates in Samadhi. Samadhi means the mind is fully absorbed in thinking of the Supreme Lord, and then the yogi attains perfection. Okay, so Dhyana Yoga basically means yoga of meditation. Okay, so to compare what you have learned in level 1 and what you're going to grasp in level 2, I've made this comparison so you can see we are going to learn a few more slokas. So in level 2, we are not only going to give you extra slokas from Bhagavad Gita, but we are also going to give you verses from Bhagavatam, and I've also included some verses from Brahma Samhita. Brahma Samhita means prayers by Lord Brahma to Krishna. Okay, this is to support the verses that Krishna has given, because Bhagavad Gita is cream of all the Veda, so it's very condensed version. So in level 2, I'm taking the chance to give you something more. So you'll understand there is more things that can support these verses. For those who want to read more, then they can go to that book. So we have these books as well. Okay, Brahma Samhita, Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay. Okay. So before we move on to the actual chapter 6, Krishna has actually given a trailer, okay, a window of what is Dhyana Yoga. Okay. Yeah. Did I assign this to somebody? Gunavali Mataji, no. Hey, sorry, Gunavali Mataji is supposed to read the intro. Sorry, Mataji. Harini Mataji, you're here? Okay, can you read for us?
Yes,
The
Mataji.
translation. Just the translation.
Shutting out all external sense objects, keeping the eyes and vision concentrated between the two eyebrows, suspending the inward and outward breath between the nostrils, and thus controlling the mind, senses, and intelligence, the transcendentalist aiming at liberation becomes free from desire, fear, and anger. One who is always in this state is certainly liberated. Thank you, Mataji.
Okay, thank you, Mataji. So Krishna is given a indication who can get liberation, who can be liberated. So this was already mentioned in the 5th chapter towards the end. Okay, so this is a couple of verses that Krishna introduced the topic of meditation before it actually goes into the Dhyana Yoga chapter. So Krishna is basically saying, by performing all this, this process of doing meditation, one can eventually get liberated. Okay, by doing meditation, one can get liberation. So there are many ways you can get liberation. Okay, this is one way Krishna is going to explain. Okay, you like Dhyana Yoga? Come, I explain to you Dhyana Yoga. Okay, remember Krishna, because Arjuna wanted to, he wants to renounce, and usually what they do, when they renounce, they run to caves and mountains and forests, so they want to meditate, right? So this is what Krishna is giving here. Okay, if you want to do Dhyana Yoga, let me teach you how to do. Okay, 6.3. Jai Prabhu, are you here? Jai Prabhu, not here. Okay. For one who is a neophyte means a beginner. Okay, for one who is a neophyte in the Eightfold System. So for a beginner who's going to start that Patanjali Yoga, the Eightfold Yoga, work is said to be the means. All right. And for one who is already elevated, that means a person who is already advanced, opposite of the neophyte, cessation of all material activities is said to be the means. Cessation means stopping. So for a beginner who is going to step on the yoga ladder, he needs to work. Okay, it is better they do some physical work, some activities, because it is simply at the beginning stage, it is simply difficult for them to stop everything and do nothing. So this is recommended for beginner. For beginner, they have to do work. Okay, meaning like certain things they should not do, certain things they must do. So the do's and don'ts. Okay, it's called yama and niyama. This is the beginner stage. And as you progress on the ladder, a person who is already advanced, then this person, he can stop doing everything because he already controlled his senses and activities. Okay, the beginner is like just like a child. No, you can't ask a child to sit still, not doing any you don't play anything, don't speak anything, don't move here, don't move there. All right, basically you need to give them something, some toys to keep them occupied, then they will feel happy. Okay, it is very difficult for children to not to do anything. All right, they definitely cannot sit still. Okay, and it's not their fault if they are not sitting still. Okay, all right, so when one is advanced, then it is possible for him to stop all work. Okay, but in order to reach that, in order to make that advancement, this person has to go through so much of purification, has to go through a purification process, and one of it is to control his mind and senses. Okay, so this is the difference between a beginner and a person who is advanced on yoga ladder. Okay, so this is a chart where you can see from step 1 until Samadhi, what are the process, how the person actually advances. So Dhyana is here. And then finally Samadhi. Okay, this will be in the PDF. I'm going to share it with you so you can go through. Okay, if you have any question, then you can ask me. Okay, this is another way to see. This is the beginning process. This is advanced process. Okay, like I said, right, the person who has to be engaged in things that he should do and he should not do. And then he advances like that. Then he has to master the posture of sitting. And then he has that pranayama. He has to master the breathing. Okay, and then finally he detach himself before he goes into controlling the mind. Once he's able to control in the mind, then he starts meditating on the Supreme. And finally, he attains Samadhi. Samadhi means complete absorption. So how a person gets elevated in yoga? So there are three things. Basically, there are three things. All right. How do you advance? What should I do, Mataji? There are three things. You should not have material desires. You should not have sense gratifications. You should not have fruitive. You should not be engaged in fruitive activities. So these three things we must eliminate for us to elevate on this yoga ladder. Okay. So let's enter the chapter further. 6.5 to 6.6. J6, Mataji. Jayanti Mataji. Jayanti Mataji, you there? Okay.
Yes, Mataji. Can I just read the translation?
Yes, yeah, English.
Okay. One must deliver himself with the help of his mind and do not degrade himself. The mind is the friend of the conditioned soul and is enemy as well. For him who has conquered the mind is the best friend. But for the one who has failed to do so, his mind will remain the greatest enemy.
Okay, thank you, Mataji. Okay, so this verse is dealing with the mind. Do you remember this genie story? Anybody remember genie story? Just put in the chat box. What did we learn from this genie story from level 1? Okay, so this verse is talking about how important it is to deal with the mind. We need to learn to control the mind. We need to make the mind as our friend. We control the mind and we have to make him as our friend. Okay, how do we control him? How do we make him as our friend? We need to engage him in devotional services. Okay, there are many types of devotional services in the script. In Nectar of Devotion, 9 were highlighted. Remember the Sravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam. So this is all activities to regulate the mind. When you regulate the mind, you are able to control the mind. The mind will not jump. As it is, the jump is the mind is like monkey, right? People will always say mind is like monkey, cannot sit still. All right, so this is how we engage the mind and control the mind. Okay, mind can be friend if we know how to use it properly. If we don't know how to make use of it, it becomes our enemy. Okay, the mind start controlling us. The mind will start dictating us. Okay, do this, do that. Don't do this. Don't wake up early. Don't chant. Don't this. Okay, so we must take charge. Okay, same thing. A knife is a weapon. In the hand of a doctor, it can save lives. But in the hand of a criminal, it is used to harm others. Okay, the matter is the same. How we put use to it. In the hand of doctor, it's favorable to us. In the hand of a criminal, it's harmful. Okay, so the best way to keep the mind control is simply to engage in chanting Maha Mantra. So later we will see why Maha Mantra is important in Kali Yuga. Why not others? Why not meditation? Why not other things? You know, there are so many processes. Okay, chanting or reading Bhagavad Gita or singing the praises of the Lord, bhajans, kirtans. Okay, so that way the mind will become our friends. Okay, so the worst thing for the mind is nothing to it becomes idle. If you don't engage the mind to do something, it's become very bad for us. Okay, when you keep the mind idle, it becomes the devil's workshop. So if you can see here, they are properly engaged in glorifying the Lord, doing sankirtan and things like that. But this person, he comes under the influence of depression. The mind starts controlling. Okay, come, end your pain, suicide. So that's how the person falls victim to the dictation of the mind. So we don't want that. Okay, so because when the mind is if the mind is uncontrolled, then people will fall into many uncontrollable habits, bad habits. Okay, it will give us so much of trouble, so much of miseries. Okay, we need to learn how to use the mind properly. Okay, so we move on. So anybody can recall what happened to this genie story? Anybody? Anybody can remember that is a bamboo forest here? What's with mind and genie? Nobody remembers? Nobody, yeah? Harini Mataji, Lata Mataji, from part 1, level 1. The genie is there to serve the master. But if the master doesn't give him any work to do, keep him occupied, the genie will eat up the master. Right? So the master will ask him to do a lot of things. But the genie is very good. He goes out, does a lot of things, and come back. Master, next assignment first. Next assignment, please. And then the master doesn't know what to do because the master needs to keep the genie engaged just like the mind. So the master will tell him, okay, now you just go up and down this bamboo shoot until I call you. So the genie has to do that until the master calls him for another assignment. Yes, that's right, Mataji. Must keep the mind busy. Must keep this genie inside us busy. Always busy. Repetitive, never mind. Chanting is repetitive. Keep it busy. Keep it busy. Okay? All right. So in Bhagavad, what is it said? The devotees who are always engaged in the service of the toes of the lotus feet of the Lord can very easily overcome hard-knotted desires for fruitive activities. Our heart has a lot of desires to enjoy fruit of our activities. Okay, so this is very difficult. The non-devotees, the jnanis and yogis, okay, these are the people who takes the mechanical process of yoga system. Okay, they try to stop the waves of sense gratification, but they cannot do so. So we have seen in our stories, in our ancient stories, that some great sages, they fall victim to the slightest temptation. All right. So therefore, you are advised to engage in devotional service of Krishna, the son of Vasudeva. So it is better for your hand, your limbs and minds and senses engaged in devotional service instead of keeping it all subdued and try to control our mind, because we'll never know when we fall victim to temptations outside. Okay, 6.7. For one who has conquered the mind, the super soul is already reached, for he has attained tranquility. To such a man, happiness and distress, heat and cold, honor and dishonor are all the same. This is the perfectional stage for one who has conquered the mind. When he has conquered the mind, that means he has already realized the super soul. He has already realized the God within him. Okay, when we control the mind, then we can understand the soul and the super soul. Okay, of course, this is an advanced stage. This is a perfectional stage, advanced stage. This is a real perfection of yoga, to realize the soul in the body and act accordingly. Okay, when we come to the stage, we are free from happiness, distress. All right, for a yogi who has attained this stage, happiness and distress are all the same. Okay, because why? He has realized that he is a soul, that there is Lord, Supreme Lord, who's he's the master, and that he is separate from the body. So he knows he is not the body, he is the soul. So he will tolerate all vices. Okay, so he will move forward. This is perfectional stage. Okay, control of mind. So this is basically the symptoms of a person who has attained perfection, the stage of perfection. Okay, let's move on. Lata Mataji, just the translation. Okay, this is Krishna's teaching us how to do Dhyana Yoga. Let's learn. This is revision, so we will go fast. Lata Mataji.
Mataji, just the translation, right?
Yes, Mataji.
Okay. To practice yoga, one should go to a secluded place and should lay kusa grass on the ground and then cover it with a deer skin and soft. Sorry, Mataji.
Yeah, yes, okay.
The seat should be neither too high nor too low and should be situated in a sacred place. The yogi should then sit on it very firmly and practice yoga to purify the heart by controlling his mind, senses, and activities and fixing the mind on one point.
Okay, so Krishna is teaching how to do meditation. Okay, this is the physical setting of the meditation. Later Krishna will go how to exactly do the meditation. This is a setting first. Okay, let's see whether we can fill up this requirement to attain the right physical setting for meditation. Okay, so first, where to go? You must, what happened to my, okay, he must go to a secluded place. Okay, you can't do at home. You have to go out. You have to go away from everyone. You have to go away from all distractions like forest, mountain, cave. Okay, and then you have to find deer skin. Okay, this deer skin, you have to put kusa grass first. Okay, you have to find this grass. After you lay that down, and then you have to put deer skin on it. Okay, this deer skin, the purpose is to keep the insects and animals away, animals attacks. Okay, after that, this is the sit. Then how do you sit? You have to sit at the right level, not too high, not too low, and it has to be at a sacred place. You can't simply go to find anywhere and just sit. No, the place has to be sacred, has to be holy place. Okay, then how do you sit on it? You sit on it firmly. Okay, you should not move left and right. So we can imagine, since we start sitting here since 7 o'clock, how many times we have moved. Okay, so we should sit firmly without moving, no standing or sleeping. Okay, if you close your eyes, then you will sleep off. If you open your eyes, then the eyes get distracted with lots of distraction on the surrounding. So later, and then you have to control your mind. Control the mind, fix the mind on one point. This is a mind, control the mind. So if you can see this yogi, he is not actually fully shut his eyes. So the eyes is half closed or almost closed. Okay, and this is just the beginning. Then you have to go to the next state, how to do the meditation. Okay, let's go. 13 to 14. One should hold one's body, neck, and head erect in a straight line. How long? I have tried doing this very long. Sometimes, when you sit in the class, you just don't want to fall asleep. So you need to sit straight. So it is mentioned when you are seated straight, the prana, the airway will not be blocked. Okay, you actually fall asleep because the airway is blocked. So you're not getting enough sufficient oxygen. The flow is not smooth. But it's less than few minutes, 5 minutes like that, I start moving already. So it's pretty impossible, okay, to sit firmly with the body erected. So maybe those who have done yoga practice for a long time, probably they'll be able to sit longer than the general of us. And then you should not be looking anywhere else. Okay, you should not let the eyes wander everywhere. Cannot see who's doing what, who's walking here, who's walking there. Cannot see that. All right, you should be focused at the tip of the nose. Okay, so Krishna explains more. What else he explains? Okay, you should be unagitated, should not be disturbed. All right, subdued mind means controlled mind. All right, and then you should be devoid of fear, completely free from sex life. Okay, so we have to understand that you're actually going away from the house, okay, far into some mountain or jungles or cave, and you should not be worried of anything. Oh, will some animals will come and attack me, or what will happen to my family in the house, what will happen to my business? So we should not be worried of anything. Fearless, you have to be fearless. Okay, so next is you have to practice Brahmacari. Okay, that means you cannot have contacts with the people from opposite gender. You cannot think of people from opposite gender. And then you meditate upon Krishna in the heart. So this is like you can see step by step. Everything has to be done accordingly. And then finally, you must make the Krishna as the goal of life. So basically, this is how it is to practice yoga meditation. Okay. So where are we going? Where are we going after doing this meditation? 15. Thus, practicing constant control of the body, mind, and activities, the mystic transcendentalist, means the yogi, his mind regulated, attains the kingdom of God or the abode of Krishna by cessation of material existence. Okay, when his mind is fully under control, okay, his body, mind and activity, three things has to be controlled. This yogi, when he regulates his mind, he will stop all his material activities and he will attain samadhi and he will attain the kingdom of God. Okay, so this verse is telling us that we have to control body, mind and activities. So you can see, yeah, body, mind and activities. And then we need to regulate the mind. Okay, so you can see, for example, the image here, it shows a person who is chanting. This is how we engage the mind. This is how we regulate the mind. Okay, like every week you are coming and hearing, this is how you regulate your mind. Okay, every day you all offered ghee lamp to Lord Damodara. This is how you regulate your activity. This is called regulation. You know, 7 o'clock, 7:30, okay, time to do Damodara. Like that. Okay, all right, and then and if you want to go to the abode of Krishna, the kingdom of God, then we must stop all material activities. Of course, we need to eat, right? Eating is seemingly material activity, but we must eat Krishna Prasad. If you don't eat, then how are we going to have energy to do service for Krishna? Okay, we need to go to work, okay, but we can work for Krishna. Okay, and then we need to sleep. We must sleep. We cannot say, oh, I'm not going to sleep, I'm going to stop all my material activities, I'm not going to eat, I'm not going to work, I'm not going to sleep. It's not like that. So we must have sufficient sleep to serve Krishna the next day. So this is how we engage. So everything that you do, I want to do this because I want to do this for Krishna. I want to do this because I want to do this for Krishna. So in this way, your existence is purified. Okay. All right. This is the ultimate goal. The ultimate goal is to attain the kingdom of God. So let me take you further. What is this kingdom of God? Okay, so kingdom of God is the supreme abode. Okay, Param Dhamma. So this is mentioned in chapter 10, verse 12 to 13. Arjuna will say, you are the supreme personality of Godhead, the ultimate abode. So this is Param Dhamma, supreme abode. Okay, nothing higher than that. That is the highest. The purest, the absolute truth. You are the eternal, transcendental, original person, the unborn, the greatest. Okay, so Arjuna is saying, not only I am saying, not only you are saying, before this I have heard all the great sages such as Narada, Asita, Devala, Vyasa confirm this truth about you, and now you yourself are declaring it to me. So chapter 10 is the absolute, the opulence of Krishna, the absolute opulence of the absolute. So there Krishna will explain all his opulences, and then Arjuna will be so mesmerized. Oh, all the while, all the great sages have been telling, now you yourself are telling. So this is great. Okay. Next, in chapter 15, Krishna will tell the characteristics of his supreme abode, how his planet will look like. He says that supreme abode of mine is not illuminated by the sun or moon, nor by fire or electricity. So here in material world, our planet is not self-illuminating. It needs sun. Okay. Those who reach it never return to this material world. So that is why in earlier here, okay, the goal is to attain the kingdom of God. Why? Because Krishna says here in chapter 15, those who reach it never return to this material world. Okay, now let's go and see what the Brahma Samhita says. Brahma Samhita is the prayers by Lord Brahma to Krishna. Okay, and Lord Brahma says, the supreme personality of Godhead Govinda, the one who enlivens the senses of everyone by his personal bodily rays, resides in his transcendental abode called Goloka. So there is a name for Krishna's transcendental abode or supreme abode, and this is the Param Dhamma that Arjuna was saying in chapter 10. Okay, this is all describing how Krishna's abode is. So when we go there, Krishna promises that we will not come back. So everybody wants to go there. They don't want to come back. Okay, let's move on. Point 16 to 17. Naveen Prabhu is not here. There is no possibility of one becomes a yogi. So this is obstacles for one who cannot be a yogi. If you have all these problems, you cannot be a yogi. Okay, you have to surpass these obstacles. Okay, let's see what are the obstacles. The obstacles are, if one eats too much, or eats too little. Okay, so yogis shouldn't eat too much. If you eat too much, you get diseases. Okay, for example, like diabetes. Diabetes is called rich man disease because they have a lot of money, they eat a lot of things, so they get disease. Okay, and then if you have too much money, you eat too much, and then you can get sickness. So that's a problem. And then if you don't eat, then you get problem as well, anorexic. And then there's another problem, tuberculosis. This is all you get when you don't eat enough. Some people, they don't want to eat. Okay, so next is sleeps too much or does not sleep enough. Sometimes people are very lazy, they sleep too much. Okay, so it is recommended that 6 to 8 hours sleep is good. Okay, so we should not sleep more than 8 hours. Okay, does not sleep enough. If sleep too less, also problem. Okay, it's difficult for us to stay awake. We cannot stay focused. So next, so Krishna recommends that humans should be regulated. He who is regulated in his habits of eating, sleeping, recreation. Okay, for yogi, okay, for us, recreation, what we do? Okay, once in a week we go out, see friends, just go out, right, shopping, whatever, right? So for yogi, his work is sitting and meditating. So what is recreation for him? Anybody knows? What does he do to have recreation? All work, no play is no fun. Something like that, right? So it applies for yogi also. What do they do? Okay, for yogi, the recreation is for him to take a walk. Okay, so he who is regulated in his habits of eating, sleeping, recreation, and work can mitigate all material pains by practicing the yoga system. Okay, so remember, eating too much is problem. Okay, we should have sufficient food, should have good breakfast, good lunch, and very less dinner. Okay, taking heavy dinner can interrupt with the rest that we ought to receive when we are sleeping. Okay, so basically the thumb rule is that when the sun is up, we should have good appetite. When the sun sets, we should have lesser appetite. So it is important this way we are regulating our activities. Okay, and then what else? How else we are regulating here? In Krishna consciousness, we have 2 weeks once a break from taking grains. So that one we call as Ekadasi. So Ekadasi always falls on the 11th day of new moon and full moon. Okay, so basically you all know on Ekadasi we don't eat grains or beans, we eat light. So that's a good regulation. We can give the body some rest. Okay, doesn't have to work so hard. The body also working very hard to digest our food every day. So we want to give it a rest. Okay, yeah, so the recreation, so that's important. He takes a walk. So if we all have work every day and then we got no play time, so it's not good. This is also part of yoga system. So this way, when everything is regulated, the mind will be peaceful. And then the body will be healthy. If you are not regulated, like sleep late at night, or another day you wake up so late, so this is not healthy. So it becomes very difficult. Okay, so for example, in yoga ashram, all that, they sleep early and rise early. So there must be a reason why they are doing that, right? This is all regulation. So what's next? Okay, so Yuga Dharma. Can I have somebody to explain this for Yuga Dharma? I remember I have done this previously, or should I choose somebody? I cannot disturb Rasini Mataji today, so who else I can disturb? Harini Mataji, would you like to try? What is this for pictures about, and what is this Yuga Dharma? Anything that you can remember, or anybody else also can.
I try.
Okay, Yashoda Mataji.
First is Satya Yoga. Satya Yoga, people live for 10,000 years and they are meditation. They are doing meditation. Then in Trita Yoga, they sacrifice. They stay for 1,000 years. The age stay for 1,000 years.
10,
so they 10,000 years. They sacrifice. Then in Divapala Yoga, for they stay 1,000 years, they worship deities. Then in last one is Kali Yoga. Then they we all, Lord Chaitanya come down and then teach us to chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra. This one is we can live to 100 years.
Yes, thank you, Mataji. So that is the main points of these different yugas. Okay, so Mataji has said the differences in
No good. Can't
Hey, it's
speak.
good. Mataji is good. It's good. So basically, Mataji has given a couple of points. Okay, so I will just add on what Mataji did not cover. So basically, Mataji has covered that in different ages, the age of the people are different. So in Satya Yuga, people lived 100,000 years, and then in Treta Yuga, it becomes 10,000 years. In Dwapara Yuga, people live up to 1,000 years, and in Kali Yuga, 100 years. Okay, not necessary for all, but this is the general information. And then in this Yuga, in Satya Yuga, people had long life. So you can see they have the longest life compared to the other Yugas. So when they have this 100,000 years, they had that facility to meditate for a long time to realize the super soul. Okay, but remember all this Yuga, they had chanting of holy name together with these activities. Okay, so predominantly people were doing meditation in this Yuga. Okay, people that time they were pure, they are pious, they can actually sit and meditate for a long time. So this is the way to attain perfection at that age. And then as the age degrades, okay, Treta Yuga, people live up to 10,000 years. Okay, duration of life reduced. People couldn't do meditation that long. So what they do, they did process of sacrifice, yagya, fire sacrifices. Okay, they perform yagya. What do? They chanted mantras perfectly. Okay, they had perfect brahmanas, pure brahmana, powerful brahmana. They can chant mantras so powerful, so pure. Milk was pure, ghee was pure, everything was pure. So that was the best practice at that time. Okay, in Kali Yuga, we can't chant the mantra as good as the Brahmanas did that time. Okay, we might not get pure Brahmana. Okay, we have mixed Brahmanas here, and then the Brahmanas sometimes they don't have a proper regulated life also, so that is also a problem. Milk is not pure, ghee is not pure, it's expensive to do yagya. Okay, so it's not possible in Kali Yuga. Okay, and then comes Dwapara Yuga. People were less religious. Okay, their age have reduced to 10,000 to 1,000. The process at that time was to worship deities in temple. So that's where we will see a lot of temples came up, big, huge temples came up during this Dwapara Yuga. Okay, so people were taking the worship practice to the temple. Okay, people started to actually start having lots of arguments. They started fighting. So to regulate their activities, temples were built, deity worship was introduced, and people were encouraged to deploy their time in fill up their time in this worship activities. Okay, so this way they will be kept clean and they will be stopped from arguing with each other. Okay, and it helps people to regulate also their activities. Okay, because and as people becomes more and more impious, they were arguing with each other. So this helps to regulate them. Okay, and then finally we are at Kali Yuga. The duration of life reduced to 100 years. Okay, like I mentioned earlier, many don't get to live up to 100. Maybe by 50 we already feel so old and invalid. Okay, so Kali Yuga is all about short life, and there's so much of very poor qualities. The virtues have actually lost along the way. Okay, however, the process in Kali Yuga is very powerful, very simple, and yet very powerful. Like Mataji said, Mahaprabhu came down. Mahaprabhu is Krishna himself, so Krishna himself came down and gave the Maha Mantra and said, this is sufficient for you to go back home, back to Godhead. Okay, so we don't have the power, the time, the facility to sit and meditate very long like people did in Satya Yuga. And then we don't have so much of money to do those sacrifices. We can't find pure Brahmanas to chant the mantras. Okay, and then it's also nowadays, you can see, right, during MCO we are not able to go to temple as as often as we went last time. Now we are still able to go, but I haven't gone to, because I'm still not sure how the crowd is and everything. So it's not very practical. And then maybe some people, they are not able to come to temple at all. You know, it's very difficult to take part in the worship. Okay, so we hire pujaris and brahmanas to do the worships for us. But if you can see here, the Sankirtan, everybody can do. Okay, it's not something like, oh, I'm not so qualified, I don't know how to sing, my swara is so sumbang. So no such reasonings. Okay, everybody can sing. As long there is a devotion, Krishna will come and dance on your tongue. Okay, so we have to have that faith. Okay, Sankirtan doesn't need a lot of money. You can just join free of charge, chant and dance. Okay, and there's some fun in it as well. Okay, so let's move on. Okay, so this is mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam. This is some of the, actually in Bhagavatam, there are a couple of cantos that gives in detail the symptoms of people in Kali Yuga. What all will happen in Kali Yuga, it is given in detail in Bhagavatam. We can talk about the symptoms for one whole day like that. So much information there. So basically, this is what we want to know. In this iron age of Kali, man almost always have short lives. They are quarrelsome, like I mentioned earlier. In Dwapara Yuga, people are quarrelsome already. Lazy, misguided, unlucky, and above all, always disturbed. Sikit-sikit disturb, sikit-sikit trigger. Okay, so can I help it? This is the symptom in Kali Yuga that is given in Srimad Bhagavatam, which was written thousands of years ago. So how Vyasadeva has predicted this so true now, isn't it? Sikit-sikit trigger, sikit-sikit problem, sikit-sikit depression. So it's how true. You see the information given in Bhagavatam. Okay, so this is a question when Naima Sharanya asked Sutta Goswami in the beginning of the Srimad Bhagavatam. So Sutta Goswami explained, oh learned one, in this age Kali, men always have short lives. They're quarrelsome, lazy, misguided, unlucky, and above all, always disturbed. Okay, so read further from Bhagavatam, yeah. Okay, whatever result was obtained in Satya Yuga. So this one we are making comparison of the process in all the 4 ages. Okay, different, right? If you remember, Satya Yuga is meditation. Treta Yuga is fire sacrifice. Dwapara Yuga is deity worship, and Kali Yuga is Sankirtan. All right. So in Bhagavatam, Canto 12, it is said that whatever result was obtained in Satya Yuga by meditating on Lord Vishnu, in Treta Yuga by performing sacrifices, and in Dwapara Yuga by serving the Lord's lotus feet, can be obtained in Kali Yuga simply by chanting the Harinama. Okay, you don't have to go find cave or mountain or forest to do your chanting. Okay, you don't have to do expensive yagya. You don't have to build temple or not necessarily to have deities at home to attain perfection. Okay, some devotees, we have deities at home, and I've seen how regulated they are. Like recently, I went to my friend's place and he spent 1.5 hours to 2 hours to wake up the deities, to do everything. And before he starts his offering and arati. So basically, he spends like 2 to 3 hours every morning, and this is not including his 2 hours, 16 rounds of chanting. Okay, so it's not very easy to do, but you can chant without all that. My age, what's that, Mataji? My age. My age. Okay, so this is very simple. You can just sit and chant and sing. Okay, so that's in Bhagavatam. Let's look at a short story of Narada Muni. Okay, this is about Narada Muni. If you all know who is Narada Muni, he is son of, who is he born to?
Brahma.
Yeah, Lord Brahma. Okay, so before Narada Muni became Narada Muni, okay, in his previous birth, he was a son of a maid servant. And this maid servant, she is a maid in an ashram, and she was serving a lot of sages. So what do is that when they have a katha, they will talk about spiritual topics. Narada Muni will sit there and listen to them. And then he will, along with his mother, help the mother to serve them. So he will, remove their prasadam plates, wash their legs. He will do service for them. And because of this association, before they, the sages, they all they travel. When they travel, they give a lot of associations to Narada Muni. Okay, so after the sages went, and Narada Muni, he sat and meditated. You can see the third picture here. So when he meditated on the Supreme Lord, based on the information and philosophies that the sages shared with him, he meditated. He wants to see the Lord. Okay, for a brief moment, the Lord came and gave darshan. Okay, but after that, the Lord did not come. Narada Muni couldn't come. He already obtained the taste. Oh my God, it's so sweet. Can I see him again? Can I see him again? Can I see him again? But he couldn't. So Narada Muni started wandering everywhere seeking the Lord. Okay, so basically, sometime like this, Krishna will give us some momentary pleasure to increase our desire. Oh, sometimes when you do some seva or when you chant, you feel some kind of bliss like that. Then say, oh, Krishna actually reciprocates with me, things like that. So Krishna will increase. Krishna does that to increase our desire to seek him more. Okay, and so after that, what happens is that this is when the Lord gave the darshan when he was doing meditation, right or not? And then later, when the Lord has not appeared, he went everywhere and he started chanting. Okay, let me bring up this one. So this is what Narada Muni did. Thus, I began chanting the holy name and fame of the Lord by repeated recitation, ignoring all the formalities of the material world. So this is what he did. First, he was doing meditation, but after that, this is what he did. Such chanting and remembering of the transcendental pastimes of the Lord are benedictory. So doing, I traveled all over the earth, fully satisfied, humble, and unenvious. So you can see what was the path that Narada Muni took to realize the Lord. Okay, finally, he leaves the body. Okay, when he leaves the body, he was reborn as son of Lord Brahma in the next creation, the next round of after the annihilation. He was reborn as son of Brahma. So you can see here, this is Garbhoda Kasai Vishnu, who enters each universe. If you remember, Karanada Kasai Vishnu, he lies down in the causal ocean, and from his paws comes so many eggs, right? The bubbles. So if you remember, I have shown you the pictures. So each bubble is one universe, and at the bottom of the universe, the Lord resides, reclines there. This one here, Garbhoda Kasai Vishnu, and from his navel comes the lotus flower. He's at the bottom, yeah, and these are the planets. Okay, these are all the planets, and then at the top is Lord Brahma. He resides in the highest planet in the material world called Satyaloka, okay, or Brahmaloka. Okay, he is there. So from here, Narada Muni was born. Okay, so after that, what happens? Narada is speaking, right? Also entered through his breathing. Okay, read further. Is it okay now, Mataji?
No,
Okay.
okay.
I hope it's recording. Okay. Okay, so I was reading this part, right? SB 1.6.30. after 4.3 billion solar years, when Brahma is talking about creation, yeah, all the rishis like Marichi, Angira, Atri, and so on were created from the transcendental body of the Lord, and I also appeared along with them. So here Narada Muni talks about annihilation. So during the time of annihilation, we will all enter the body of Mahavishnu. Okay, and then there we will remain in a deep sleep-like state. Okay, we will not be destroyed because the soul doesn't get destroyed. Remember in chapter 2? But we will become unmanifested. So everything will enter the Lord's body. And then we will stay. All right. And then again, the Lord will start creating. We will come out of his body. So like that, Lord Brahma came. From Lord Brahma, Narada Muni came. So this is how the creation works. Okay. And he attains the name Nara because Nara means Supreme Lord. Da means to give. So wherever you can see, right, Narada Muni always travel. He and he's a transcendental Vina. He will be traveling planet to planet, universe to universe, like that. So wherever Narada Muni goes, he is giving the names of the Supreme Lord to everyone. So wherever he goes, he'll be chanting the Lord's name. So this is how he spread the glories. So you remember before the annihilation, what he was doing. He was going places to places, from places to places, chanting and glorifying the Lord. So when he reborn, so he was continuing doing that. Okay. So why we are telling all this, I will come to that, okay? Okay, so you can see generally our life is youth, we have old age, and then we sleep. Okay, so this one in Bhagavatam, Prahlad Maharaj is whose son?
Kamsa, what?
Whose son is Prahlad Maharaj?
Is Kamsa. No, not Kamsa. It's what? His father's. Forgot the name already.
Hiranya
Mataji.
Yes. Tell me Mataji the full name.
Hiranyakasipu.
Yes, Hiranyakashipu. Kamsa is the bad guy. Tried to kill baby Krishna. Yeah. Hiranyakashipu is also a bad guy. He tried to kill Prahlad Maharaj. Okay. So Prahlad Maharaj in Bhagavatam, he says this. He breaks up a person's lifetime to this. Okay. In 7.6.7, Prahlad Maharaj speaks this. In the tender age of childhood, when everyone is bewildered, one passes 10 years. So this is a child, he's ignorant, right? He doesn't know anything. So it's past. Okay. And then when the child goes into boyhood, he engaged in sporting and playing. So like that, he passes another 10 years. So like this, 20 years already. So you count in this way, 20 years are gone. And then fast forward to old age. When we are invalid, unable to perform even material activities, we need people to help us, right? So at that stage, we need people to help us. One passes another 20 years wastefully. So 10 here, 10 here, 20 here becomes 40 years. So assuming a person is living up to 100 years, you have 60 years balance, correct? So what will happen to the 60 years? Half of the 60 years is spent in sleeping. Can you see here? 30 years sleeping. And then we are basically left with 30 years for us to work properly, walk properly, okay, engage in things properly. So like this, we only have 30 years as effective time remaining after we minus off the boyhood, childhood, old age, and sleeping years. 30 years. So what are we doing with our 30 years? Okay, something to ponder and plan. Okay, so how can we achieve perfection? Do we need 30? Can we actually achieve perfection in 30 years? Do we actually have 30 years to take our time? Meditate, spend a lot of time to meditate, try to control our senses, stop all our material activities. We have to regulate our mind, body, senses. Do we have that much of time? Okay, in Bhagavatam, we have the story of Parikshit Maharaj. He did not have 30 years. He only had 7 days. Parikshit Maharaj is the grandson of Arjuna, our Bhagavad Gita Arjuna. Okay, he was cursed by a son of Brahmana that he will die in 7 days. Okay, he will be killed by a snake bird, Takshaka. You can see here the last picture here. This is the first picture here. Okay, I'm not sure if I have told this story before. One day Parikshit Maharaj will come to a hermit's place. Okay, he wants to get some water, but this person was deep into meditation, so he was not able to wake him up. And then the Parikshit Maharaj thought, oh, how impudent! I am such a great king. I am here, and you are not. You're pretending that you're in meditation. Okay, I did level 1. Okay, great. So I'm not going to go into detail. Okay, anybody forgot the story? Then you can ask me. Okay, so he will be cursed. Okay, long story short, he will be cursed because he will put a snake around this sage neck, because he thought he's very rude, didn't want to wake up, pay obeisance. Okay, but when the Parikshit Maharaj left, the son came and he saw somebody has put snake over my father's body, and then he found out that is Parikshit Maharaj, and then he gets so angry, he will curse him. He will die 7 days, killed by Takshaka bird. And then when Parikshit Maharaj heard that, oh, this Brahmana's son has cursed me, what should I do? I only have 7 days. I should do something to perfect my life in just 7 days. I only have 7 days. And he will think that he's considered lucky. Like, I know that I'm going to live for 7 days. Many people, they don't know how many days they're going to live for. All right. So like this, Parikshit Maharaj will go to Sukadeva Goswami, and Sukadeva Goswami will deliver the Bhagavatam in 7 days. That's why you will heard that 7 days Bhagavata Sabda. So in India, they give 7 days of Bhagavatam. The entire 12th canto, they will give in 7 days. Okay, so finally, he'll be killed. So when the snake bird comes, the king was already in trance, in Samadhi, because he was already meditating in the Lord's, in Supreme Personality's thoughts based on the story, based on the Bhagavata Katha that Sukadeva Goswami gave. Okay, and he felt no pain, and finally he left to spiritual world. Okay, it's 8 o'clock already. I think I need to speed up. Okay, so why we can't do it's not practical. Okay, generally maybe some people can do meditation, all right, but generally we are in this rushing world. We are in the rat race. We are rushing, and then there's so many people around. We have so much of commitment, no time. Okay, the moment you close your eye, you'll be thinking, oh, you'll have flashback of all that thing that has taken place throughout the day, and after this, what I'm going to do, what I'm going to eat. We have this kind of thing. So Astanga Yoga is not suitable for city life. Okay, we cannot find secluded place to start with. Remember, the first thing that Krishna said, you have to find a secluded place. Where to go and find secluded place? Okay, all right, we can't do that, but we can do mantra japa here. We can do mantra yoga in city. We can walk and we can chant, no problem. Okay, so yeah, basically we need to know how long do we have. How do we know how long do we have? Okay, can we really do Astanga Yoga in the hustle and bustle city life? Not possible. Okay, so for this, we have this prayer. This Silot Mahaprabhu, when he came down, he did not give us so many books. Okay, he only left this Siksastakam. Siksastakam means, Shiksha means instruction, Astaka means 8. So he has given us 8 verses of instruction. So the number 2 is, he prays. Okay, he is Supreme Lord himself, but because he came in the mood of a devotee to teach us, he has given these prayers to us so we can appreciate the holy name. He says, oh my Lord, your holy name alone can render all benediction to living beings, and thus you have hundreds and millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names, you have invested all your transcendental energies, not some, all your transcendental energies. They are not even hard and fast rules for chanting these names. So it's not like, oh, you have to be clean, or you have to be that, you have to be this. or you cannot chant here, you cannot chant there, or you cannot chant playfully, or you have to sit in a secluded place and chant. There is no, absolutely no hard and fast rules. And then he asks further, "Oh my Lord, out of kindness, you enable us to easily approach you by your holy names." Okay, very easy to approach the Lord through the holy names. But I am so unfortunate that I have no attraction for them. All right, that Krishna has given so many things here in his holy name, but we have no attraction for them. Okay, so this is Bhakti Yoga, which can be practiced anywhere, anytime, by anyone. It doesn't have to be a person who is 40 years old or 50 years old, a person who have retired. No. Okay, a small kid can do, and a person at advanced stage can do. Cannot think like, oh, I'm so old, I cannot move here, I cannot move there. No. Take a beat and then chant. Can, right? It's very easy. All right, so that's the difference. So this is to compare on the among the 4 yugas, the process recommended for the 4 yugas, the chanting is the best. Okay, so let's go back where Krishna was talking about Dhyana Yoga, that you have to find a secluded place, that you have to find this kusagras and a deer skin, and then your seat cannot be too high or too low. After that, Krishna said, oh, you must sit erected, straight, you cannot move, you cannot go anywhere, and then you control your eating, you have to control your sleep, you have to do proper recreation, and then you work. So many things Krishna was saying, and then he said your mind has to be controlled, your glare, the eye gazing should be at the tip of the nose. You cannot see left and right, up and down, all that you cannot see. So to this, what Arjuna feels, Arjuna says this, "Oh Madhusudana, the system of yoga which you have summarized appears impractical and unendurable to me, for the mind is restless and unsteady." Okay, Arjuna says, this is difficult for me. I am unable to concentrate. I am a king. How is it practical for me? Okay, and why he says it's unendurable? Because it involves sitting in a secluded place, and then my mind is always unsteady. Krishna says something to comfort this kind of people. Okay, when they say, oh Krishna, you've given so much for us to do. So Krishna says, for the mind, okay, this is what Arjuna says, right? Yeah, this is 63, this is 34. And he also, Arjuna continues, why he says it's unendurable for me. He says, for the mind is restless, turbulent, obstinate, and very strong, O Krishna. And to subdue it, I think it is more difficult than controlling the wind. Okay, so in a practical world, we need to fight so many opposing elements, all right, in order to come to that dhyana stage. So it's very difficult to control the mind, because one of the criteria to do dhyana is to control the mind. So Arjuna himself has declared that it's difficult for him to do. Okay, and you know what kind of great warrior he is. Okay, so that is a nice picture to describe this, about this mind, how to control this mind. So we have this Atma sitting at the back seat of the chariot, and then we have this intelligence, and then these are all the senses, working senses, like the tongue, the skin, the nose, the ears, the eyes. Okay, so this is basically depicting the relationship between soul, intelligence, mind, and senses. So to drive this Atma to the right place, you need to find a qualified driver. All right, so, and the driver is intelligence. And the driver needs to hold these horses, to control these horses, and these horses are the senses. He needs the string is the mind, right? The reins, right? He uses the mind to control the senses. His senses are very powerful. You need strong intelligence to control them. Okay, this is body. This whole thing is body. And you see here, boss is here. The intelligence has to use the mind to control the senses. So I hope you can see this, yeah. This is mentioned in Katha Upanishad, but Prabhupada quoted in Bhagavad Gita. So like I told you, Bhagavad Gita is a condensed version of the Vedas. So everything important from all the Vedas, Krishna brings it in, and in purport also you will find that Prabhupada explains by using information from the Vedas. Okay, so there are 108 Upanishads. Katha is one of them. Okay. Shanti Mataji now here. Lord Sri Krishna said, "O mighty armed son of Kunti, it is undoubtedly very difficult to curb the restless mind." So of course Krishna is agreeing. Yes, I agree with you, Arjuna. It's very difficult. But Krishna is comforting here. It is possible by suitable practice and by detachment. Okay, so Krishna is kind. He say, yes, I know it's difficult, but it is not impossible. You only need to practice. You need to be detached, and you have to let go all your attachments. Okay, so if you try to hold on to the material things, then it will be difficult. So that's why Krishna says, practice and detach, practice and detach, practice and detach. So Krishna here, he understands, agrees. Okay, so there are two things, practice and detachment. So there is no shortcut to practice. Practice, practice, practice. Practice makes perfect. Okay. Yeah, this is revision sloka, right? So we move on to 37. Nobody. So Arjuna has questioned Dhyana Yoga for a long time, but they fail. Okay, my internet connection unstable, so I'm just going to wait for a while. Oh Krishna, what is the destination of the unsuccessful transcendentalist who in the beginning takes the process of self-realization with faith, but who later disease due to world-mindedness and thus does not attain perfection in mysticism? Okay, he's asking what is the destination after practicing for a long time, and because of some distraction, this person falls down. What happens to him? Is all his endeavor and effort gone to waste? So this is Arjuna's question. Oh, mighty armed Krishna, does not such a man who is bewildered from the path of transcendence fall away from both spiritual and material success and perish like a riven cloud with no position in any sphere? Because he has no place in material world and now he's got no place in spiritual world. Is it like that? So where will he go? So he's got this perplexities. Okay, he is not successful either place. Okay, so to this Krishna will answer. So to this, Krishna is answering. This is a revision sloka as well. The unsuccessful yogi. So there are two failure here. A person who falls down, a person who falls out of the practice after a long term of practice. Okay. Another person who falls out after a short term of practice. Okay. So first, he will say, after many years of enjoyment on the planets of the pious living entities, Krishna will say the unsuccessful yogi, yeah? After a short while, the unsuccessful yogi will go to heavenly planets, higher planets. Okay, and after he exhausts his credits, all right, he will be born into a family of righteous people or into a family of rich aristocracy. So a person who has done meditation practice in the past life for a short while and fails, they will go to higher planets, and then when the credit is exhausted, he will come back to a rich family. And then what happens to a person who practiced for a long time? He takes birth in the family of transcendentalists. Transcendentalists means devotees. Okay, here they may be rich, but they may not be devotees. It's just that here you will have nice facilities, conveniences, comfort. Okay, that is for people who fail after a short while. But people who fail after a long time, they will come in born in spiritual family, so their path will be expedited. All right, certainly such a birth is rare in this world. So this birth is very rare. You can find a lot of people being born in a rich family, but the second one is rare. Okay, so basically Arjuna has asked, supposing I do for some years, then what is my state? I am unsuccessful yogi. So for this, Krishna explains that, give this answer. Okay, so we don't have Sobita also here. Okay, in 645, And then Krishna says, so after, what happens after this person comes back in this particular family, right? He says, the yogi engages himself with sincere endeavor in making further progress, being washed of all contaminations, then ultimately achieving perfection after many, many births of practice. He attains the supreme goal. So eventually, this person, after he practice again and again and again, he will attain the supreme goal. So you can see here, of course, it gives us a comfort that eventually we are seeing the light at the end of tunnel. But you can see it may take a lot of time. It takes time. It may take a lot of time. It may take many births before we come to the perfection. Okay, I will find out about this, about Gautama Buddha, royal family, but changed his life. But he was more into the Buddha that Lord Krishna appeared is not the Gautama Buddha. Okay, so I have no idea about this Gautama Buddha, where would be his next destination. But he was more into moral codes. Okay, I will find out, Mataji, what could have happened to him after that. Okay, so basically the risk here is that coming and going, coming and going, coming and going. Yeah, there are many Buddhas, huh? Coming and going. So until when we're going to do this? So why don't we do one time and one shot, once and for all? Okay, so this is what we want to do. This is where Krishna is giving a solution here. Yashoda Mataji, would you like to read?
And of all yogis, the one with great faith who always abides in me, think of me within himself and render transcendental loving service to me. He is the most intimately united with me in yoga and is the highest of all. This is my opinion.
Yes, thank you, Mataji. So here we have a concern here. Definitely we are going to a better place next time, but the risk is how long we're going to do that. Okay, if you're going to practice meditation, come back, practice meditation, come back. Okay, so until you attain the perfection stage, you're going to come back. But here Krishna is saying, of all yogis, the one with great faith. So this is the highest yogi. Okay, the highest yogi is one who has great faith in Krishna. Okay, so you can see from the beginning, Krishna already described so many different yogas. Okay, and then here finally he declares that one who practices bhakti yoga, okay, abides in me, thinks of me, these are all bhakti yoga. Remember, render transcendental loving service, this is all bhakti yoga. So he says those practice bhakti yoga, he is the highest yogi. So what are the requirements? You must have great faith in Krishna. You must think of Krishna. We cannot only do the lip service of saying that, oh, I am a devotee of Krishna. No, we must practically think of Krishna in our mind. And then when we think of Krishna in our mind, then we engage our senses in serving Krishna. So in this way, Krishna said that you must you must do bhakti yoga with mind, body and senses. So you can see all these are covered. Mind means abides in me, thinks of me. Okay, body means render service. Okay, sense is like hearing, speaking, seeing. So all this you engage in the service. Okay, so here Krishna declares who is the highest yogi. Of course, even though he has explained the Dhyana Yoga, eventually you can come back to me. But he says even higher than that, Bhakti Yogi is the best. So basically, this is like a summary, yoga ladder. So you start with Karma Yoga. You are working, you are doing some work, and then you're giving away some of the result. This is called Karma Yoga. Okay, and then we see how the ladder progresses. This is the last slide already. Yeah, just bear with me a while only. And then you when you keep doing work, right, detached manner, you will be blessed with knowledge. Okay, it's like you've been doing good work, and somehow someone will give you the knowledge about the soul of the Supreme Lord and all this knowledge. Okay, so with that knowledge, what do? You try to engage your mind in thinking about the Lord. You want to know the Lord in the heart. So that is Astanga Yoga. You hop on the Astanga Yoga. you do dhyana. Okay, and when we meditate on the Lord who is in the heart, we understand that the Lord is the master and we are the servant. Okay, and when that happens, when we realize the Lord is the master and we are the servant, naturally we will take up bhakti yoga. Bhakti yoga is where we can render devotional service. Okay, so the good news is that when you are at bhakti, you are actually covering karma yoga, you are actually covering jnana yoga, and you are also covering dhyana yoga. Okay. So there are 2 points here, from karma yoga to jnana yoga, dhyana yoga. It's very long. Okay. So you can also shortcut straight go to bhakti. All this will be in the chanting. You are actually engaging your mind, thinking of Krishna, and that is the Dhyana Yoga. And with that Dhyana Yoga, you're actually engaging in Bhakti Yoga. That is perfection. Eventually, this is how we attain Krishna. Okay, this will be the recap for today. Okay, so we have detailed recap here, which will be in the PDF. You can read it later. Okay, so basically be a yogi with constant practice and detachment. This is what Krishna said, right? When Arjuna was with the headache like that. All right, and Dhyana Yoga is impractical in this age because of all the reasons I have given previously. And then Krishna declares finally, who is the greatest yogi? Okay. When Astanga Yoga comes to the point of realizing Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that is Bhakti Yoga. That is the ultimatum of the yoga ladder. Finally, we want to go there. We can straight away go there, or we can do the step-by-step process. But the matter is how much time we have and how many times we're going to come back if we fail. Okay. Right. So that's about it, Matajis. Any questions? If no questions, we can call it a day. Thank you so much for coming. Actually, I want to discuss something with you all probably next week when we have better turnout. I'm planning to incorporate a little bit of level 3 in level 2 itself. Okay, so we are waiting for some meetings to take place. Yeah, so we'll see how it goes. Okay, so we'll have we hope we'll have better turnout next time, so we can talk about it later. Yeah, Mari. Okay, Mataji, Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for coming. Okay, I know people are still in Diwali mood, I
Thank
think.
you.
Okay, Mataji, Hare Krishna. Bye.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Krishna, Hare Krishna. Good night, Mataji.
Krishna. Good night, everyone. Hare Krishna.
Good night, Hare Krishna.